My name is Tracy Marinello, and I work for Florida Defenders of the Environment. I'm not a scientist, I'm just the office manager, but this is my investigation into herbicide use in Florida waters. Are herbicides causing harm in Florida waters, causing algae blooms, damaging fish and wildlife? Fishermen throughout Florida are very upset to see the lake sprayed with herbicides, killing aquatic plants. They are finding fish with tumors, growths, and open wounds. They have been speaking out so loudly and effectively that FWC stopped the herbicide spraying program for 2 months in January of 2019. The FWC commissioners held meetings all over Florida to let the public speak out about the spraying. I attended the FWC commission meeting in Gainesville and noticed the chemical spraying companies had bussed in their employees to fill the seats in the room. The fishermen and concerned citizens who came to speak were left standing against the wall around the room and out in the hallways. In a 12-month period, from 2016 to 2017, FWC spent over $23 million paid to spray contracting companies to spray almost every lake in Florida. In 2017 and 18, it was $17 million. 2018-19, it was $15 million. Almost every lake in Florida is considered impaired, or worse, by Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Most lake waters are too high in nitrates and phosphates. Aquatic plants are natural water filters. If the plants were allowed to grow, they could be removed periodically by aquatic harvesters, which could greatly help remove these nutrient loads. The plants, once removed, could be used for compost fertilizer. I spoke to 2 different farmers in the Gainesville area that would gladly take these plants. Here you can see the sheets that tell the amount of acres and the amount that was spent per year. These are per fiscal year. These are the reported total costs per fiscal year for FWC spray program. FWC's fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th. Keep in mind that FWC is not the only agency spraying herbicides. We also have water management districts, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Department of Transportation, cities, counties, lawn maintenances, companies, homeowner associations, flood control, mosquito control, lake management companies, homeowners spraying every lake, canal, creek, river, and even drainage ditches along our roadways. Many Florida agencies also refer to these chemicals as pesticides. Fishermen, bass anglers, and nature lovers have become citizen journalists, sharing what they see on social media. Many people are seeing the degradation of our fish, surface waters, beaches, coastal waters, with algae blooms, red tide, and fish kills. Several of these people have helped me gather information for this presentation. I'm not sure how many of them should be mentioned by name, but I would like you to know that Mike Knepper has a YouTube channel with several must-see videos that you can see at the link on the bottom of this page. Also, this has gained national attention from CNN. Please watch a short video from CNN's series, Go There. This is what the fishermen are showing and sharing on social media. You have fish with weird giant tumors and open gaping sores, giant tumors like this. Some people are telling me they have hundreds of photos like this collected from different people that are sending them to them online. Here's more giant tumors, scalded fish, looks like burns or some sort of parasites are just eating it away. Another giant tumor, and this big, huge one here. This is devastating, and we can't get any answers as to what's going on here. When people think of herbicides, they think of Roundup, which is a chemical with a glyphosate base. More than 4,000 people are currently suing Monsanto, alleging they develop cancers from using Roundup, and several European countries are moving to limit the use of these herbicides and even ban them. This testing is important because EPA has only been looking at the active ingredient, but the formulations that people are exposed to on their lawns and gardens, where they play and where their food grows, said Jennifer Sass, a scientist with the Natural Resource Defense Council. One problem is the government scientists have run into is the corporate secrecy about the ingredients mixed with the glyphosate in their products. And you can see the link here if you wanted to read the entire article. This is a good article. So this is a list of the most common used herbicides in Florida waters by FWC contractors. According to the FWC spray schedules, most are used in a liquid form, some in granular form. They're being sprayed by boats, helicopters, and crop dusting airplanes. Some are even injected right into the sediment to kill Hydrilla. And you can see the list of the most common chemicals that come up time and time again on these spray schedules. And what the other article was mentioning was the other ingredients on these safety data sheets. If you notice here, the Aquathol K has 59.7% of other ingredients. This could be anything. The Priscillachlor has 73.5% of other ingredients. How did they get away with this? This could be other poisons that they don't want to list, or oils or soaps. It could be anything. And on the safety data sheet, some of them even say right on it, this pesticide is toxic to fish, ducks, invertebrates. You know, many states are fighting to keep herbicide runoff from the farm fields from running into their water, and meanwhile, Florida's spraying this stuff directly into our water. This is the list of chemicals, herbicides, allowed to be used in Florida waters. This is really scary to think of all of these different chemicals that are allowed to be used. Diquat, several different brand names, flumoxazone, glyphosate. Look at all these glyphosate ones, and even stronger chemicals, stronger biocides, 4,2-D. Some of these are related to Agent Orange type chemicals. You could see the whole list at this link. So this is an article that was paid for, research that was paid for by moms across America, where experts find citrus and marine diseases caused by glyphosate. Dr. Don Hubert and Frank Dean have released a farmer's education video that covers the many ways in which glyphosate impacts crops, soils, waterways, marine life, and human health. And this is a really good article to read if you want to pause the video and read it. Dr. Hubert and Dean have boldly asserted a controversial claim that glyphosate is a major contributing factor to citrus greening and toxic algae growth in Florida. This is continued from that article on to the next page. Glyphosate results range from 0.4 to 59.69 milliliters. Again, you know, states are trying to keep this out of their water. Europe is trying to ban it, but in Florida we're spraying it right onto our water, right onto and into. Glyphosate breakdowns increased problems with algae blooms. Glyphosate is the most extensively used pesticide worldwide. In addition to raising ecological concerns, the use of glyphosate adds phosphorus to agricultural landscapes, influencing the accumulation and cycling of phosphate in the soil and nearby surface waters. Yet pesticides have been largely ignored when monitoring anthropogenic sources of phosphates in agricultural watersheds. And these are suddenly our public enemy number one. I don't know about you, but when I went to school in the late 70s, early 80s, they taught us how important aquatic plants were for cleaning our water, and now they've become the enemy. Water hyacinth, hydrilla, water lettuce. Water lettuce is said to be not native, but it's shown up in fossilized form, and researchers say that even Bartram's Travels had mentioned seeing water lettuce back in the 1700s. And this is the book where it mentions some of these plants, and water lettuce is clearly right there. I haven't read this book, but someone sent me this. This is a project that's currently being set up in Indian River County to help remove nutrients from the water before it reaches the Indian River Lagoon. The facility to use water lettuce to absorb and remove dissolved nutrients from the North Relief Canal. The Indian River County has received $650,000 grant from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for construction of this $8.7 million Moorhen Marsh low energy aquatic plant system to remove nutrients from the farm waters before discharging into the lagoon. This seems ironic to me, because if maybe we were just letting these plants grow naturally in our canals, we wouldn't have to set up these mega expensive facilities. But this is a good idea. This proves that these plants are removing the harmful nutrients out of our waters. And there's more research done on water hyacinth, water lettuce, plants that remove nitrates and actually clean the water. You can see there was a project with Disney here at this YouTube link, and Florida's aquatic plants are natural water filters. They remove the nutrients that are threatening our waters. Many projects have successfully proven this over the years. Disney and NASA have used hyacinth to filter sewage and storm waters. Dr. Bob Knight has also used this plant in experiments to fight algae in Kings Bay. These plants are currently being wiped out in our waters and now are hardly seen. Many countries and companies are using floating plants to help clean water. One of those companies is BMAS. You can see more about them here. I believe they are a Florida-based company, and they have some floating islands down in the Villages and many other places in Florida. Many countries see the benefits of floating aquatic plants, and when removal is needed for navigation and fishing, the plants are removed by hand or mechanically. The plants are then used for feed, fertilizer, fabric, and even fuel. A quick search for water hyacinth in YouTube will show many videos of people using this plant throughout the world. I'm listing a few here for you to watch when you have time. This is a picture of the Ocklawaha River in May of 2019 from our favorite captain, Captain Karen Chadwick. She noticed that the sides along the river were being sprayed with herbicides, and then when she went a little further down, she could see what appeared to be algae growth, as these plants were just dissolving and dying and just rotting into the water, while these little baby ducks were all feeding around through the herbicide sprayed plant matter. And we should be spraying a river. A free-flowing river would naturally move these plants around. But they're spraying it even down into the Silver River, where Captain Erica talks about where she saw snail eggs growing along the sides of the river in some of these plants, and she went back a few days later and they were just all drowned into the water. And this was sent to me by a friend down in the Sarasota area of a favorite place that she used to like to go and take pictures and relax and hike. And this is the redbud sloth preserve. This is what it normally looked like when she went down there to see it on several occasions. And she came back one day and it looked like this. Just completely killed the vegetation along the edge of the river. And she found a little raccoon floating, and she wondered if it had been killed. Its home had been killed by this herbicide application. And she cried. She was devastated. She said she doesn't even want to go back there anymore. And so this is part of the redbud sloth. I guess you could see, you know, they've got it managed like a golf course. There's no vegetation in the littoral zone at all. And this is down in Clewiston, one of the boat ramps that go out to Lake Okeechobee. You can see here the edges are just scalded bare. And there's a tiny little patch of what looks like maybe spatter dock or something there that they'll probably be back for next week. This is a rim canal of Okeechobee going out to the Harney Pond area. And as you can see here again, there's almost no floating vegetation and very little growing in the littoral zone. This is a sediment sample that someone sent me from the Harney Pond area of Lake Okeechobee with the comment from the person from the lab. The slide that reads 1.2 organic matter was taken from Harney Pond, a known spawning flat for bass. This soil sample was taken after a spray campaign. The slide that shows 0.6 was taken after a spray campaign where natural eelgrass was killed off and had not returned. The lab tech I sent this to stated that these soil samples are indicative of a body of water that was highly treated with herbicides, and that the dissolved salts are so high that nothing could grow, but he could not go on the record to state that for legal reasons. This is another sediment sample from Lake Kissimmee. You can see the total dissolved salt number is really high here. I'm not a scientist, so if you are a scientist or a chemist and you could break down some of these numbers for us, that would be great. And so this is what the FWC spray schedules look like when you look for them on their site. It's myflorida.com. myfloridafwc.com, and you can go to what's happening on my lake, and you can pull up the spray schedules by the name of the lake or the water body. And I found this one really interesting, talking about its major uses, and species of concern is the manatee. Well, manatee love to eat these plants, so I'm not sure how that works as something to do with spraying, but they're trying to say that 1 acre only costs $1. And they use Aquathol K, Floridone pellets, and Aquathol Super K. So they were obviously killing Hydrilla and some floating plants as well. This may have been down near Eureka by Moss Bluff, or maybe the Eureka boat ramp. Probably to keep the boat ramp open Floating plants will be sprayed and pellets will be spread, sinking to the bottom to kill the hydrilla for $1. Really? I find that hard to believe. Here's another spray schedule of Lake Lochloosa, and their species of concern is a round-tailed muskrat. But it goes on to tell you that 10 acres of hydrilla, $1,000 on what they're going to use, and 250 acres of floating plants, $28,000. And this, I think this is what they're calling the Cuban bulrush, 10 acres, diquat, flumoxazine, glyphosate, and Tussox, 2 acres. So when you go to these FWC meetings and people are screaming about glyphosate, and they say, oh, we don't use that anymore, we use other chemicals. Oh well, they're using other chemicals that are much stronger, but they're still using the glyphosate as well. And this is a really good website that had a lot of good information about different chemicals and herbicides that you could use as a tool, a resource to see what they're investigating. But glyphosate causes biodiversity loss in freshwater ecosystems according to the study. And this was this year in March. So this is exactly what we're talking about. Who is checking to see what's going on with the biodiversity in our lakes and if it's damaging these fish? And so this is from one of the slideshow presentations from FWC that was done in partner with a county, and they're talking about, you know, planting some plants that they want to grow, like this bulrush and spike rush, but killing all the floating plants around it, water lettuce. And so I talked to several biologists while I was researching this herbicide spray in the last 4 months, and many times they threw up the word monoculture, like that's a bad thing, but this is exactly what they're doing. They're choosing which plants can live and which plants cannot live. And I'm pretty sure that our lakes need these floating plants. When I went to Lake Okeechobee in February, I was shocked that I saw almost no floating plants. Everything looked like just little patches of bulrush. So someone has decided that we know more than Mother Nature. We need to manage these lakes like some sort of farm field and decide which plants we want to keep and which ones we don't. This is the spray schedule for that project that I just showed you, Highlands County, showing you which lakes they're going to spray, how many acres, what plants, and what toxic chemicals are they going to use. And even a mixture, I'm not sure how these mixtures of chemicals work in the environment, or if it's even legal. This is also part of that presentation of exactly what they're going to use. Glyphosate again, 7.5 pints per acre. And this is a good article that I found that was from all the way back in 2001. It's talking about how many people actually are drinking water out of our surface waters, out of Lake Okeechobee. You know, in West Palm Beach, 185,000 people in West Palm Beach are drinking water from Lake Okeechobee. That's quite frightening. And then you've got treated water from the Peace River and the Hillsborough River serving Charlotte County, Sarasota County, DeSoto County, the Tampa area. I mean, this is scary stuff that people are just drinking this water coming out of their taps. This is a very long article, but it had a lot of good information. So please check out the link here. Imagine how much worse it could be now. And so calling around to all the different agencies to find out if anyone is looking for herbicide accumulation in our waters or in our fish. I finally got the name of Nicole Niemeyer from South Florida Water Management District's Water Quality Department. And this is a list of pesticide herbicides that can be tested for through Florida Department of Environmental Protection at a rate of $600 per item. And they do not currently test for these herbicides, even though EPA at one time did require testing for at least atrazine. But you can see anything with an X can be tested for. Anything with the little dash, they don't have tests for. So this is the fish category. So who's testing to see if these fish are accumulating these toxic chemicals? Naiad's been sprayed a lot lately for mosquitoes, which is banned in Europe. Many countries have banned some of these chemicals, and we're spraying them right into the water. But Nicole did say there was a person named Dr. Chris Wilson, who is setting up a lab at UF to study some herbicides. So I'm looking forward to contacting him soon, very soon. And this is a letter from Congressman Brian Mask and Greg Stubbe. They sent this to the Energy and Water Appropriations Committee to help stop the funding to Army Corps of Engineers Aquatic Plant Management Control Program. So kudos to them, and I hope they get some traction on this. Brian Mask went on record as saying he doesn't want his children bathing or drinking water that comes from herbicide treated water. And I don't blame him. I don't either. And then I started thinking about the fish stocking, because I saw a headline that said Florida's 2 freshwater hatcheries stocked over 4 million fish during fiscal year 2017-2018, which ended on June 30th, 2018. But that was just for that fiscal year. Stocking goes on every year in almost all of our lakes. So look at all of these numbers of bass that we're stocking. So if we weren't stocking these fish, would we be seeing the collapse of our ecosystems? And how much is this costing? There was no information about the cost of this on their site. And the total is like 2.7 million, not 4 million. So I'm not sure where the other million fish went. And this takes us to Alan Stewart's blog. He has some really great ideas on how we can manage these plants and turn them into fertilizers. This concept is not new. They've been doing this in many countries around the world. So he's a really smart man. He's been in this field for 20, 30 years. He's retired now. These are just ideas that he put out on his blog that, our agencies can help fund these, or they could be turned into a business that would offset the cost of the harvesting. So, this can be done. It's being done in other countries. We've got to utilize these plants to remove the nutrient loads out of our waters and stop this cycle of spraying and letting the nutrients get worse in the water system when they break down and turn into the toxic sediments that last forever. So check out some of Alan's projects on his blog. We can do this, people. We can do this. And that was my presentation to our board of directors at Florida Defenders of the Environment. Thank you.